ceilings ourselves, but we don't have the equipment to go vertical above that. So that's why we hire that outside contractor. Second line item for in the correction center in the main entrance, door 8, the front public office where Julie sits, and master control, the carpeting in those spaces in the
Can I
correction
interrupt?
center. Go ahead.
Sorry, Bill. I should have said something when you were talking about the previous item. For that, I apologize. Um, I guess my question would be for $18,000 every 2 years, and obviously probably going up, a little bit each time. Would there be any wisdom, and I'd like to hear the other members' thoughts, to just purchasing a lift, and for the long term use? And then I guess my next question would be, do we have a convenient place to store one should we go that route? And I'd love to hear, Bill, your thoughts and any other commissioners on that.
So what we can do, unless anybody else wants to chime in first, what we could do is at a 115-foot lift. That's the largest available in Grand Forks. That doesn't get us to fifth and sixth floor on the Cobb. That's where the repelling equipment comes in. So the contractor that we hire, he repels off of a counterweighted cantilever from the sixth floor roof, and swings from a Bosun chair.
That sounds like the worst job in the entire state of North Dakota.
Fifth and sixth floor wouldn't get done that way, but otherwise from a lift, could it be done from a lift? It certainly could be up until fifth and sixth floor. They would not get touched. Storage of the lift could be a number of options for the infrequency. Highway shop building in Gilby could store one. In the interim, in the summertime, we obviously could store something like that within the lowest level of the parking ramp in the corner, but it couldn't be there in the wintertime, obviously, for snow storage or anything like that. So we would have options that way if we were pursuing ownership of one. But now keep in mind, a lift that size isn't going to be an $18,000 purchase. You're probably going to be tickling six digits on a new lift like that. So the contractor payout would have.
No need to go on, Bill. You could have led with that.
Going from there, if the commission would desire to do that, if they don't, we would continue on maintaining our first floor appearance of our windows, but then above that we would let nature take its course. When it rains, they kind of get cleaned up. The second line item that in the corrections areas of those 4 areas, I have spec'd at $30,000 for a carpet replacement for those 4 areas. It's original to the jail. All of those areas are very worn. In the carpet and master control actually is through the pile, and actually the backing material of the carpet is exposed where the corrections officers sit and roll their chair on it. So it's beyond even the ability to clean that carpet, which would be nice to replace that. And Sheriff Schneider has made efforts in making some improvements out there for the betterment of the staff, just to see that they are important to them. I think that would be a good direction to go in that, and improving that image for those workspaces. For at least two of those areas are workspaces for the staff out there. The third line item again is carpet for sixth floor here in the county office building. It too is 27 years old. I wouldn't replace anything here in the chambers or in the conference rooms. It would stop at the green just outside of Mr. Ford's office, but the atrium area and bathroom areas where we have some heavy traffic patterns, we clean that carpet already 3 times a year because the traffic patterns repetitively come back because the fiber is getting so thin on the carpet. So I have put that in there as request for replacement, and I could get that done in very short fashion. in with approval of that. Line item 4, Cobb elevator controls upgrade. This one's a big one, and it's going to become necessary sooner rather than later, in the sense that Otis Elevator, our service providing contractor for our advance elevators, I might add as well. We have advance elevators in this building. Advance was installed in this building in 1999. 2004, they went out of business. Their copyrights and patents were purchased by a company in New Jersey, and that company has since sold 3 times. So original controller and component electronic controls and motor controls on our elevators are becoming increasingly difficult for any elevator for service provider to source and replace. Otis has done a really good job in taking care of us, but we have a couple of quirky behaviors in our elevators right now that they're just not able to tune out because different manufacturers' controls and things like that are just not quite communicating as smoothly as they would like them to. I have had this on the request before in 21 and in 23. And then it just kind of bounced off the capital improvements requests in the last couple of years, but it's becoming more imminent. In 23, I did receive a comprehensive, full detail scope of work from Otis Elevators in upgrading it. The 3 cars, it did include a full remodel of the interior of the cars, which I don't think is necessary. That price came in at $420,000 in 23. Talking with the Otis reps, some of the prices have gone down on some of the materials for the upgrades, so that helps to not be fear of sticker shock of 420 being more. And then also, if we removed that elevator car remodel and left the interiors as they are, because they don't affect operation and safety of the elevators, I think we could keep that at the 400 mark or under, and that's already engineered and designed and could be sole sourced, as they're our contracted service providers for the third party safety and inspection on those elevators and that. Line item 5 is a big one as well at 250. That's only a portion of that. The vertical, horizontal seams and expansion joints of the county office building. Again, building's 27 years old. None of these joints, exterior joints, have been dug out and resealed, rebacker rodded, things like that. Terms like backer rod and resealing joints and seams, very familiar terms for our county engineer, Nick West. On road surfaces, they have to do this periodically. But they do it at ground level. Again, here on the Cobb, you're doing it from repelling scaffolding and brings in specialized contractors for that. Being over that $250,000 mark, it's realistically, that project is going to be between $400,000 and $600,000. So I would like to dedicate funds this year, carry them over, and start engineering services, because it would have to be engineered and managed third party. And those engineering services, verbal estimate from a structural engineer is $75,000 if we were approaching that $600,000 mark on a project. So construction management, construction documents, bidding, advertising, all of that, $75,000 if we approached a $600,000 total on this. And there's no way we could start that work in 2026 right now if some money was dedicated to it this year and we continued that on next year. It would be this year and next year. We'd be paying for that out of 2 years, but we'd have to get going on hiring an engineer, construction documents, bidding, so forth. That would get us there. Then the balance of that would probably be $400,000 next year to get the work done next year. Replacing the man lift that facilities department has, we primarily use that out at the jail. It's a 20-foot man lift, nothing nearly big enough, Commissioner Rusted, for exterior work here on the Cobb. But that 20-foot man lift allows us to get to all the high bay lights the jail.
You need to hire some taller people, Bill, to get this figured out.
We can work off of the high bay lights or work on the high bay lights in the jail. We can also work on the second and third floor lighting in the rotunda of the courthouse, sizing the right size, small, one to fit through doorways, two, one to fit in the elevator, and the elevator to be able to lift it. The current lift that we have that we'd be replacing, the control module is out on it, and the only way it can be operated is from the dead man buttons on the ground, the crow's nest for control for moving it or for raising or lowering. It don't work anymore, and JLG does not support that technology on that lift because it's too old. So it's basically a valueless trade-in boat anchor for us as well. But new lift options anywhere from 17 to 24, we could get what we need in that $20,000 mark in a replacement in that replacement lift. Next line item over in the courthouse. Back to the annex and lots of visiting and talking about and engineering and survey and all things on that as far as what to do with that space. But the flood of the basement in the courthouse brought that to higher precedence to me to try to make efforts to stop using that basement because it's a wet, dark hole. Anything down there is eventually going to get damaged. We'd have to move what's stored in those locations, give courts a storage area, then also in the state's attorney's office to stop using the lower storage. They need a storage area. Taking those areas and segregating them for proper security for courts as well as for proper security in locking up doors and making doors so that they function. So as Miss Wamstead said, it's very difficult for her to use some of the big jailhouse keys in there. We could change those door functions so they would be more user friendly for individuals that would be frequenting there if they're doing record storage and whatnot. We also have some bad windows on the backside of the jail and the fence that needs to come down and some cement repair, which would brighten up and improve that north entrance, which is the employee entrance to the courthouse. All of that, I can foreseeably get that done in the 60 to 70 mark. I say 70, not to exceed, and I can get access so that the SA office would have a dedicated area that they would only have access to. The courts would have a dedicated area that they would only have access to. That annex space that does not enter anybody into the old jail yet because we don't know what the commission at someday is going to decide to do with the old jail. But that annex space is space that's always going to exist because of the mechanical attached to it to feed the courthouse anyways. So we'd be using that space for something valuable, and it would be able to take away foreseeable problems of continuing to use the basement if we enforce that this is not a place that we continue using from this point forward.
Mr. Shefsky, on that one, when we get to the big project, you'll need to come back up. I want to see how that ties into that, but I'll wait till then.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because I want to see how that goes in with the other work we're doing over there, because I don't want to spend money twice.
Okay.
Okay.
Washer and dryer replacement at the correction center. We have 3 large-scale commercial washers, 3 large-scale commercial dryers. One dryer was replaced 2 years because of the fire that we had in the building. The 3 washers, 2 dryers, they are original to the building, so we're just to a point to where the aging chassis on those machines, when we spend $8,000 for a drum carriage and a wash machine, I can buy a wash machine and dryer installed from RJ Coolman, 28 grand. And then it's just time to start upgrading that or updating that equipment as that's 22 years old now. So that replacement cost is for 1 wash machine, 1 dryer. Next year would be a wash machine and dryer. Then the following year would be a wash machine. We'd have all 3 pieces of equipment less than 5 years old in that washer and dryer space in the correction center. Highway department, we have some roof repairs we need to look at entertaining doing. Nick had some new heating equipment installed in the shops, which they weren't properly curbed and flashed around for the new chimneys that were put in by the heating contractors. So in order to have those curbed and repaired and we know we have one for sure, asphalt patch on a rubber roof membrane that we need to cut out and repair that properly. The curbs are just doing the curbs around each stack of the 3 stacks. We're looking at about a $2,800 bill per one. So there we're approaching $8,500 just for that. And then some other roof repair and some tack strips, and wherever we have shrinking and pulling, we will consume a near 20 mark pretty easily on that to get his roof in good shape for another foreseeable future length of time. The network. Yep.
Bill, didn't we grant approval to the department heads and Mr. Ford to just go ahead and do things like that where there's money available in the budget? Because that's a smaller number than the other items you've been referencing. And to me, and it's so obvious that it would have to be done that to me, I thought we said that you guys can just do that. Do we not?
Commissioner Rusted, you did but the approval authority you gave me is 10,000. Anything beyond that does need commission approval.
Oh, so you can't just do it twice.
No, sir. Good question.
Same invoice 3 months in a row.
That's right.
The network replacements, then next one is from Evelyn from IT. She received a grant, and I want to read my notes on this carefully so I word this properly for you, and to make sure that this committed money does follow through for her. I'm looking for my note box on it.
It's the big one in the middle.
Yeah, so she received a grant that 85% is covered by federal and state dollars. She received $20,000 from capital improvements in 24, and in 25 and 26 would be the final year that she would need the 20,000 to support the 15.5% that the county is on the hook for that grant to be satisfied financially, and she will have that work completed in 2026. So that one's kind of necessary to follow suit with what we've been following through on that one as well. Next one is at Highway Department office shop windows. Again, Nick's building is an aging building. It's a 50-year-old building. He has single glazed windows in there. They're drafty, they leak. We have some that they're not bullet holes, but they're probably more rock holes in some of the glass that the windows are broken in. But we want to replace those windows. We have a quote from contractors that looks very competitive, very reputable quote for $28,840. I'm requesting not to exceed $30,000 in case there were any incidentals with working with a masonry building. There's always a possibility of an edge fall off or something like that, where they have a little more repair in that when they're either anchoring furring strips or doing masonry clips on them. And that comes to that point of 906, unless we were to dedicate more money to the Sika and seam and caulking and window resealing in the county office building. I have currently 6 windows that leak in the building depending on which way it would rain from or which way wind-driven rain is at. And all of them 6 windows except one are on upper elevations that are not accessible. There's one on 3rd. There's 3 on 5th and 1 on 6th. And then there's 1 on 1st floor that leaks. That's not to mention the expansion joints and things on the building, being this is a limestone slab. The tiles of the building are hung on clips, and then expansion joints and backer rod put in. Many of those expansion joints have wide open daylight cracks on them from the sealant shrinking and cracking away, which water getting into the walls or anything like that could be bad for a number of reasons. But the primary concern to me would be if we have any water ingress that would ever freeze, we could end up with some fracturing or some spalling in them on them seam joints in the building and that. So it's getting to that point in that timeline where the building is needing some exterior care in order to make sure, you know, a building built to this construction standard with that kind of maintenance on it, and, you know, between roofing and exterior sealing, it can stand another 27 years without major incident if we address those issues. But again, that 250 I'm asking this year is only a portion of what will be needed to complete that. So if you dedicated more to it, that would take off that balance of that 594. The other thing about that 594 that I strongly would feel that we should leave some there for a portion of yet this year, and we could revisit what balance is left towards September in that timeline where we could still spend it yet in a year if we needed to. We have some unknowns. The active insurance claim that we have of the basement, we don't know if they're going to pay 100% of our coverage and what our costs are that we have incurred on that. And we also have some damages in the juvenile detention center that aren't budgeted for, but we don't know if they're going to qualify for insurance claim money, which is an active claim right now too. So those are balances that are yet to come. And if we were to spend this down to near to nothing, the only thing we'd be looking at is either cash carried forward or wherever else Colleen could find money from to pay for that. So I would strongly think we should leave some of that balance there, and we could pursue projects later in the year again as well. Any other questions?
I got a couple on the, if we have 594 left over, I'm okay with all this, except for the one I mentioned, the courthouse. We got to see how that ties into the other thing. I would even recommend that we just do that project. If it's, you said 4 to 6, so if it's, because if you space that over 2 years, you're just going to pay more, just to have them show up. I guess I'd like to just see you get it done in 1 year if we can, and that would still leave you 294,000. If you took 300 more, that would still leave you $294,000 for whatever. What are your thoughts?
Where we're at in the timeline right now, if we approve this money for it and you say it's 600, no problem, construction documents, everything, even if we went that 675, then I don't see the work getting started this year.
So it's 2 years no matter what then?
Well, construction documents, planning, bidding.
Okay.
By the time we're at bidding, we're going to be looking at advertising probably July to August. Bidding will be August to September. You're not going to get guys on repelling scaffolding to be working out here in October and November this year.
Oh man, okay, so I'm good with that then. If you think it's going to, then I'm fine with the way it is. And like I said, the only exception is the courthouse. We'll discuss that.
The only thing is if we dedicate the money to it, it's there. And then we have it there and it carries over into next year. If we don't dedicate the money to it, then you got to remember we've got to dedicate money to it next year. If you follow what I'm saying, because we wouldn't have that dedicated.
Well, I'm fine dedicating it for the next. Let's just get it done. But
yeah,
so I'm fine with that. If it is a 2 year, I wouldn't mind carrying. Is 294,000 good enough to carry over for the potential insurance, you think?
I would hope. Yeah, I would think so.
Okay.
But I mean, you also, none of us have a crystal ball,
Oh.
and we still have 10 months of the year.
Yeah, well, but I also, we'll get into the budget. We also have an emergency fund and we also have a
Yeah.
cash reserve. I want to, if something needs to be done, this is
Yeah.
what government's, we're supposed to fix our buildings.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with this. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. I don't know where they're two at, but I would then like to see a line item, say 300,000 to carry over for the next year
Hmm.
for that project, the one that's going to take 2 years. That's where I'm at. I don't know
Sure.
where the other ones
Yeah.
are at. But as far as the rest of them, I'm good. That's a good list for me then.
Okay.
Mr. Bierke, if you don't mind, I am of the opinion that just about, if not all of everything that Bill brought up are essentially no-brainers. I do have one question. I'm not a guy that when I walk around, I look at carpeting. Is Bill, in your opinion, the 6th floor carpet, you think that's a high need? Honestly, I couldn't even tell you what color it is.
The atrium carpet is well past due on needing to be replacement just because of the traffic patterns that are in it. I don't know anybody that walks on 27-year-old carpet in their house and their house doesn't get near the traffic that our atriums and our hallways do here in this building. We have over 6,000 door swings daily on this building, and the people that were walking on this carpet on 6th floor in 1999 in the atrium are still walking on the same carpet now. And it's not that it looks that terrible when it's cleaned, and we're cleaning it 3 times a year on this atrium now just because the traffic pattern repeats that fast because the fiber of the carpet has gotten that thin. It's worn down.
So kicking that can down the road, in your opinion, would not be advisable.
I'd prefer not to. There's a few stains out there too, and this is kind of our public floor for meetings and commission meetings and that. It would dress it up a lot, bringing new carpet to that atrium up to the green that's here in front of Ford's office and the commission chambers and that we wouldn't replace any of this here because this isn't nearly worn enough yet in my concern for that.
With that being said, I'd move approval of all the plans that Bill has laid out in front of us today.
I think
Sorry. I just wanted to say that I concur. I think the list looks great and I would like to see that carpet be replaced if we could do it this year. That was my 2 cents.
I'll second it, but Mr. Rusted, does that include setting aside the 300,000 of the 594 to carry over for the next year to finish that one project?
Correct. I love that idea. So yeah,
Okay.
I should have included that in the motion, but yes, it does.
Okay, I'm good with the second then.
okay. Yeah, so regardless of what is used or what's left, that balance would be dedicated for into next year's use then.
Well, if you carry over the 300, it's a little more than you could do out of the
Yeah.
next year's budget, but that should get the bulk of it, right?
Yeah.
And if something lets loose and it hits the fan, so to speak, we do have still some avenues. If a boiler blows or something like that, or a water heater, whatever, we've got avenues.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I think this is the fiscally responsible avenue for us to take. And furthermore, Bill, I want to thank you. I wish I could be there in person, but personal medical things with my wife got in the way. But I commend you on the on your presentation and your research and all the hard work that went into compiling this. I think this is one of the most, it's up there with one of the most important things that local government is supposed to do is maintain their properties and keep them in working order. And yeah, I can't poke a hole in anything you said. So yeah, I'm excited to vote yes for this.
Thank you.
All right. It sounds like we have a first and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right. And if that's all we have on the agenda, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move adjourn.
Oh, we got to go through the courthouse stuff.
Oh, okay. I repeal my adjournment.
My apologies.
Sorry, Terry.
No, and maybe we can throw that up on the big screen there. So I don't know if you guys, it was in the packet, page, what, 2 through 12, I think?
Yep, it was the first pages in the packet. I got it
Yeah.
pulled up here.
Okay,
I don't have it handy, Commissioner Beer. Can you
okay,
throw up on
but
the screen?
I just want to make sure
Yep.
they know.
Do you? Okay. Oh, it's on yours? We can probably. That's the one.
That's it, yeah.
Yep.
So who, are you going to lead that, Mr.?
I can,
Okay.
yeah, and I'll be brief, Madam Chair. February 20th, I had sent a memo to the commission. Ms. Wamstead, Ms. Leon, Mr. Gershesky, and I had met with Icon and construction engineers. The intent of that meeting was to finally get an answer, a definitive answer on what to do with the old jail. The commission has spent a lot of money on studies trying to figure out what to do with it. It was Icon and construction engineers' professional opinion once they were kind of pushed to give us an opinion to knock down the old jail. Now, I'm not talking about the old youth assessment center, just the old jail. Their recommendation to knock it down is because it would essentially be a very minuscule wash. It'd be very similar whether you remodel it into office space or knock it down and build new office space. We also know from briefings from Ms. Wamstead that we can expect an additional judge in the short to medium term time span, and with that will come more staff for courts, juvenile courts, court administration, court staff, and perhaps Ms. Wamstead's office. Hence why you have the Michael Burns study of the old yak up there. Essentially, this is a topic that comes up probably annually, what to do with that building. We wanted to brief you on this today, not to make a decision, but to let you know we really did get an answer from some professionals on what to do with it. The other thing is, if you're going to make some long-term decisions with remodeling the act for storage, what you decide to do with any buildings moving forward can affect the sheriff's lease. So as you know, the sheriff, the commission entered into a lease with the option to purchase, and that was executed in 2024, which the 5-year option will be coming up in 2029. And so the commission is going to have a decision to make. Are you going to purchase that building? Are you going to not renew the lease, or are you going to keep on going for the 10-year original term? And if the commission makes a decision not to purchase or renew the lease, the sheriff's going to have to go somewhere. And that building has been identified in the past as a potential remodel for the sheriff's office. However, the sheriff and I have toured that. The sheriff it didn't seem to be practical for his needs. But if you were to knock down the old jail and build something new, you'd still have the land to do something with it for the sheriff. So not necessarily saying you have to make a decision. However, I think a decision is looming, and you're getting closer to needing to decide what to do with that old jail. My concern is Mr. Gershesky and the commission putting in a lot of money to remodel the yak to fit the needs of the state's attorney's office and the courts. And it's a good plan. I fully endorse his plan. I just don't want the state's attorney's office, the court's office, Mr. Gershesky having to do something twice, and the commission spending money to remodel. And then 4 years down the road, you decide, we realize we're getting a judge and more staff, and you have to remodel the old yak again to suit the needs of the state's attorney and court's needs. So that's why we're bringing it up today for discussion.
Can I chime in?
Go for it. Yep.
So this is not to sway anybody in one way or another, but I would be remiss if I didn't point out the fact that anything that we built on that property would be way, way less of a building than what is currently there. The one we have there would probably be the safest place to be during, a major tornado or something. That thing is bulletproof and it'll be there for millennia. So, if we're going to do something else there, which I'm not trying, I'm not saying one way or the other, But just be aware that, 2026 and 2027 and 2028 construction pales in comparison from a structural standpoint to what was done when that building was erected. I think Mr. Ford would agree.
As far as the
The strength
Quality-
and durability of the building and just the longevity of it,
oh, yes, sir.
I mean,
It's concrete and steel.
yeah, the house I live in probably won't be still standing in 50 years, but the buildings that I own downtown that were built in the 1800s will probably be around in 500 years. So it was a different age of construction, and that's why the remodel is going to be a complicated, expensive process, but it's just something to keep in mind. And I'm really saying this more as a building operator than I am a county commissioner. I kind of had to switch hats there, but I would venture to guess that if Bill's still there, he would concur with me on that.
I got some questions. On page number 11, you have a mechanical cost. Is that included in the net cost of the project, whichever one we chose, 1, 2, or 3?
The mechanical in the Michael Burns.
Yeah, is there, you had 3 different projects as potential. And then in page number 11, it has mechanical cost. Is that separate from the total cost, or was that included in the total cost for those 3 projects?
No, those were included, Mr.
Okay.
Bierke.
Okay. If we chose project number 3, from the way I look at this, and whoever wants to step in, I just want to get my question. Project number 3, if you could go to project number 3, it has different prices. That project shows, that page number 11 or page number 9, I think. Go to, I guess that must be further on. Somewhere there's a total price. There it is.
There it is.
Okay, if we took project number 3, am I correct, the way I read that, there is no work done in the old jail area with that project?
Yes, this was only for the old youth assessment center. That's right, Bill. Oh, I believe all 3 were just for the old yak.
Yeah, this assessment just covered the square footage of the old yak and what was originally Unit 9, which from years ago, that would have been the women's dorm in the jail. And then the old youth assessment centers, the old juvenile detention centers, administrator's office. So that only covers that area of that annex of the portion of the building that would never come down regardless of what you do with the old jail. So that covers that square footage and only
Okay,
that square.
the old jail area, is there anything in that area that we can't demolish without affecting water, electricity, whatever, HVAC? Could we bulldoze down the whole old jail and not affect anything?
Using bulldoze very carefully.
Yeah, well, that's obviously, yeah.
The annex portion of the building is an inherently attached portion to the old jail. So that demolition becomes very delicate, very ginger for whatever contractor. If you demolish the old jail away, took it away, that demolition process for the areas of what these drawings show, there's a hard line they can't cross.
Right,
but the
right.
old jail has no bearing on that portion of the building, which then supports the operations of the courthouse by water, sewer, and electricity.
Okay, and on your project, we mentioned earlier, the 70,000 modify annex, hall to state's attorney office and ND court storage.
Yeah, that's just
How is that affected if we were to put those offices for the victim advocates? Are those competing, or?
they would be competing space. You'd either one or the other. You can't
Okay.
have both in the same space.
Okay, then, so in the future, if we did, I'm gonna pick one to make it simple. We went ahead with and we were going to do these victim witness offices, what would be the plan then for the state's attorney's needs and the court storage? What would happen then?
It wouldn't be there. It would have,
I know. Is there somewhere else to put them, or is you're out of room?
you'd have to come, both of them need some kind of records management storage. And if we take away usage of the basement, they have to go somewhere.
And am I correct? There's nowhere else to go? If we did,
If you demo the old jail, there would be nowhere else to go.
okay, if we didn't demo the old jail and kept that for storage till we built the new judicial wing, I'm going to call it, then when we built that, we could build anything to do with that judge and space for whatever the state's attorney's office would need and whatever the court system would need.
Could expand into there is what you're saying.
I mean, if we demoed that, took that stuff out, demoed it, and then we built an addition to the building, we would then build that correctly the first time and add all that in. The judge, the state's attorney, whatever they need,
Storage.
and whatever the courts needs,
Yeah.
and a little extra to be safe, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Mr. Ford, if we, don't go though, Bill, if we moved if we did put the victim witness advocacy offices over in the courthouse, then that would free up a wing of this building to rent. That whole wing would be open to rent out for office space, correct?
That tower is split in two, so it would move half of the north tower. You still have emergency management and human resources.
Okay, but if we could potentially move some of them somewhere else too?
They,
Well, Ms. Wamstead was just reminding me too, if we opened up more office space, CVIC would actually be interested in staying and leasing additional office space.
So by moving, we would increase revenue, which would in the long term be a long term, but it would be a payback then for the move. We're going to, if we charge rent, we make revenue, right?
Yes, sir, we would. But right now where CVIC is at in the Cobb, they're paying rent and they want to stay. And then if we have more open office space, they would want to lease the additional office.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yes, sir.
we would
Yes.
make more revenue. Okay.
the fifth floor split as far as square footage is, it's 1/3 EM HR, and then 2/3
Yeah.
is the portion of that area that CVIC.
We could look at maybe moving some of that. Okay. When are we looking to make a decision?
Commissioner Bierke, Madam Chair,
I get not tonight, but
yes,
I guess,
It-
there's the bull. Let's get the horns. Let's go.
I'd like to have this seriously discussed during the budget process.
Okay, I'm good with that. Because I just think when you make a decision, we've been putzing around with some of this stuff. I'm ready to go. I guess one question me from Ms. Wamstead is it, if we did kept the old jail around and turned that into storage for you, and then the court side as a carryover, as a temporary solution, would that work? Is there any issue with you? I mean, I know it might be a little further to walk, but I would prefer not to do a bunch of little, probably prefer to do this and to put it in for the grant, like we have written here, and apply. And then when it comes to the judge, then come back for the second grant and finish it off, versus doing a bunch of constantly moving and doing little projects when we could hopefully kill them off quicker.
Commissioner Bierke, members of the board, thank you for asking. I think these are all very good questions to inquire on. I think it's wise to delay this decision to the budget time period. We certainly appreciate Mr. Gershesky's efforts and his staff as well. I think it's worth further discussions and review with our office and the courts. We have a new court administrator that just started his position in the last several weeks. I think he's just kind of getting comfortable in his position. And I don't want to speak for the courts, but I know for our office, now that we're prioritizing scanning in our inventory in the basement, I think our needs for storage are going to be dramatically different than what they historically have been. We presumably will still need some storage, and I have no objection to that storage being in the old yak because that's actually more convenient for our office anyway. But I think as we work through the scanning process, we'll have a better idea of how much we'll be able to chip away in the 6 months that we have with these temporary employees, and we'll have a better idea of what amount of storage is needed, which may help drive the discussion as well.
Okay, the other thing, then my last thing is then, and it really is my last one. When we go through this, if we do those offices, if we put doors that lock, then that if we only could maybe say we move 4 over or whatever, then we could still have some storage space there. And then I thought I heard the court people say that they have people that work from home, they don't have enough space. I don't know if that is an issue with them or not. But see, I want all that included in the discussion for what I'm going to call the second project, which is the judge, everything tied to a judge, all the different rooms, and then whatever, because all that, then we could, when we apply for the grant, we could show them this isn't Grand Forks County issue, this is a state's issue, and the state of North Dakota should be paying for this, along with the judges. Also, you need more staff room, I'm going to call it. So I just want to make sure all that gets thrown in there too, because I just really don't like doing things twice.
Agreed. I think all of these points are good points of discussion. I know with the last court administrator, we discussed the issue of their staff in the clerk's office that's rotating on a work from home basis. And she had some ideas on shuffling the chess pieces in the building, for lack of better terms, to maybe better utilize the space. And I think those would be good conversations to have with our new court administrator to kind of get the court's take on, the best use of that and how they could shuffle to meet their needs as well. So yeah, I think it would be good to have further discussion before any decisions are made.
Okay, I was wrong. Now it's the last time. Then this is what I'm looking for then, is I see 2 projects here. Project number 1 is what we're looking at here. And then the second project would be an addition to the courthouse. This is what I see coming. So by budget time, I'd like to address, we got to make sure the sheriff has access into to take the prisoners up on all that. So that's all covered in this project. So I'd like to see us, because if we can do this, then we could take that to the state legislature this session and go after this one. And then hopefully we'll find out a little bit more down the road where we're at. So we're ready for the next session or the one after that, whatever it is, for the judge and all that. And I thought Ms. Lean had a great idea of even going to the point of scoping it out some so we can present them. This is what we need. Here's the cost, and this is what you should pay for. So that's how I see it. Okay, I'm done.
More last ones. All right, any other comments before we close this and open a new meeting? All right, well, anybody want a motion for, okay? Is there a second?
Second.
First and a second, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't have my microphone on. All right, the first order of business we have is the approval of the minutes.
Second.
First and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. The order of agenda.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would like to add, the, Evelyn Halverson to the agenda at 6B.
All right. IT. All right, we have a first and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. All right, the consent agenda. Bills, employee status changes, overtime, game of chance permit, county deed, and the January 2026 financial report.
Move.
Second.
And first and a second, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. All right, we did not have any citizen comments, so we will move on to Evelyn. You have the floor, ma'am.
I passed this out to everyone, my network project that was originally brought to and signed at commission on January 6th. I just have a deduct for the YAC. The YAC was put on there and didn't need to redo the YAC quite yet. And then also add additions for things that we found that we could afford to add on to it, some other switches in the server room and things. So it's two different proposals I need chair signature on. And then if possible, if I could have permission to sign additions or deducts after this for this project, as long as it stays in the scope and the budget.
All right,
I'll move approval of all that.
okay.
Second.
Right, first and second, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. All right, pay for performance, Mr. Ford.
Yes, Madam. No, Commissioner Rusted's on. Yep, he's right there. Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioners, we do hear you, sir. This is just bringing back to the agenda per the board's request at the January 20th commission meeting. So at the commission's been discussing pay for performance and employee review program. And at the January 20th commission meeting, commission did instruct county leadership to gather some employee performance review templates from the city of Grand Forks, Cass County, and the University of North Dakota. So we've collected those materials. They're in your packets for your review and discussion. The commission's been pretty clear with myself as well as being ready for a formal recommendation as part of this process. And so just moving forward with that, I've been visiting with Ms. Thiel and Ms. Colleen often about an employee review process and pay for performance program. And it's going to be county leadership's recommendation that if the commission does move forward with a pay for performance program, to use a pass-fail evaluation model, which would be tied directly to the county's existing step pay plan. Ms. Thiel did a lot of research on what other counties are doing, and it indicates that a pass-fail model linked to step progression is the most straightforward, consistent, and legally defensible approach. We also agree along with Ms. Morstad, that we should not make any changes to the current pay plan or the number of steps, just leave it as is at this point. Referring to a memo that I had sent the commission a couple weeks ago, the staff, I am recommending moving forward with the concept of a performance review and a pay for performance plan. However, I would prefer to have formal development and implementation of that plan deferred until the first quarter of 2027. And I'll stand for any questions.
Is there any questions for Mr. Ford?
A couple. So I just want to make, would it be possible to have the system of performance reviews, pass, fail, tied into the current step plan, all that work, how that's going to work, all that done before the end of the year? I don't mean tomorrow, I mean
Like the end
by December, so we could go over it November, December
of this year?
of this year.
No, sir, I don't believe that would be possible. And I'll expand as to why. So the templates that you have in your packets, coming up with a form, that is what I would say the easy part. The part that's going to take a lot of staff time, a lot of organization, a lot of research is you cannot have the same performance review for a maintenance technician in Mr. Guszewski's department, the same as a mechanic in Mr. West, the same as a correctional officer under the sheriff or the government relations manager. It's going to take a lot of time. You're going to, kind of going back to the last presentation, research with the state's attorney, the auditor's office, human resources. It's going to take a lot of energy and effort to make sure we get a process right. And it's going to take a time to implement. I would even go as far as to suggest that once staff are ready to present something to the board, that we still do this crawl, walk, run method, which would even be do the interviews or the employee assessments for a couple of years first, get staff trained up on them, get them comfortable with it. After 2 or 3 years, move towards the actual pay for performance. Now, the reason, sir, that I don't think it's possible is we are still going through the Tyler technology upgrades, and that is tax-wise, that is Infinite Visions, and we're migrating from servers to the cloud. We just went live today with the first step. The next step is then going live with the human resources module. One reason I don't want to get too far ahead of the human resources module is we might have some evaluation and pay performance tools in that HR module. So I wouldn't like to I don't want to get started on these categories when we could be offered something through the Tyler technology upgrades that we're receiving. Once you get to the HR module, which hopefully you go live May, then we got to start talking about the timekeeping aspect, and that will be the lengthiest. You're probably looking the rest of the year to get that incorporated. Incorporate that with the auditor's office, the HR office, my office, IT office. It's very cumbersome. There's a lot of meetings. There's a lot of troubleshooting. There's a lot of calibrating that goes on. And then we're looking at budgets starting. In fact, the first meeting in April, you'll start discussing your budget priorities. Then you're going to have a primary for elections. Then you're going to have an election in November. You're going to have open enrollment in November. I have to be mindful of overtaxing my team and coming up with a brand new system and creating evaluation criteria for all the different positions that we have. We have over 300 employees. I'm not saying you're going to have 300 different evaluations, but we have a lot of different positions. And I've had some good discussions with the sheriff because he's implemented his own. So it gave me some good context as to what it's going to take to implement this. So I would, as the administrator, prefer to defer any real adoption or putting staff into this until we get through the Tyler upgrade and we start the first quarter of 2027.
Well, I guess my only comment would be it. Once again, I'm not big on reinventing the wheels. Last time I checked, every position we have is in counties all across and cities all across the state. The job requirements to plow snow, I don't think is unique in this. Can't we shuffle some of this down to the department head and the supervisors to start working on writing up what they would do to as far as requirements for not the job, but the performance review? Couldn't we shuffle some of that on down and pick the pace up a little, or is that too much to ask? Or
Commissioner Bierke, Madam Chair, Commissioners, at the end of the day, if you want this to start work right away, we'll do it. Yes, we can, and we already are having some conversations with department heads. We can certainly, I can task department heads with this and what would they come up with? What would they start creating? But again, I just want to be fair to the staff. We're not going to have anything formal to present to the commission at the end of the year.
Hey, Mr. Ford,
Yes, sir.
could you, just for clarification purposes, could you help me understand, and maybe this is a dumb question, what you mean by module? Is it like a computer program that we're utilizing, or what does that mean, sir?
That is exactly right. Commissioner Rustad. It's part of our migration to the cloud and having full use of the Tyler Technology Program that we pay for. I don't know, Ms. Thiel, if you want to elaborate on the HR module, if you have anything to elaborate on yet. So we don't have anything to elaborate on yet unless is Ms. Halverson still here? Doesn't look like it. So she doesn't have it either. So
Thank you.
it goes back to, this is not a fast moving process, the migration and the upgrading of the Tyler technology. You know, we're talking about HR module implementation going live in April, and HR and IT hasn't even received what that looks like from the Tyler technology. And so kind of Commissioner Bierke, we can do a few things behind the scenes, but full dedication, I want to delay that till early first quarter next year.
Okay, I'll go 20. I don't want to, 2-3 years to me is not the world I live in. We got to pick the pace up. So a year is a year, but I don't see how it takes 2 to 3 years to implement a performance review system tied to a pass fail grade. That's not a 3-year project. So the world I live in. So I guess I'm 1 out of 5, but I think we can go faster than that. So I'll just throw it out there.
I think I do agree with Mr. Bierke, though. I would like to get the staff involved in getting the leadership of the department heads to hear what they have to say with the input and putting things down on paper. They're the ones running those departments. I think their input will be greatly used. So anything else? No? All right. Do you need us to have a motion, anything, or just any other direction, but you have what you need for that topic?
Madam Chair, I have what I need. Yes,
Very
ma'am.
good. Okay.
Well, I'm good for the first quarter 2027, ready to roll.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Noted.
All right.
Next is funding agreement for the Nest. So that is the low barrier shelter. Used to be under public health. Now Housing and Urban Development oversees that. The county commission budgeted $130,000 cost share in the 2026 budget. What you have before you now is the funding agreement, which would execute the county's payment to Grand Forks Housing Authority. So I would ask for board approval and chair signature on the 2026 funding agreement.
All right. Is there a motion?
I so move.
I'll second it. And shockingly, I have a comment.
All right.
When they come to the next budget cycle, I've said this before, I'm going to vote on this just because we promised them. So we'll keep our word. But the next time they come, this spring, fall, or early summer, I want to know how long these people are staying there. You know, I want to know where they came from. I want to see some kind of daily log info. People to beds, how full are they? And what's the plan to get them out of here? I don't mean throw them on a bus somewhere. I mean, are we doing counseling? Is job service going in there giving counseling on getting them a job, or people getting counseling on addiction, blah, 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 blah. So I want to know, just let them come in, throwing their contraband in a basket and let them sleep for the next day. That's not good enough. So I said this year is okay. So I'll keep my word, but I got to see a plan for what in the future. Just let them, we're providing a place for people to sleep stuff off is not an answer in my world either. So I want all that when we get into the budget discussion for 130,000. And I think you should probably contact Mr. Phelan also. I think the city has some reservations on some of this also. So see what, maybe we should work together on this one. And then I guess Northeast Human Services, whatever they have to say. But I don't think unlimited stays, do whatever you want and sleep it off is the answer to a homeless issue.
Many keep coming back.
That's my point. The repeats, the log, how long they stay, average, that's the things I'm looking for so we can make a determination. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. We have a first and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. Thanks, Mark.
No, it didn't.
Oh, you said, sorry. I thought it was 4-1 then.
Yeah, 3-1. 3-1. It passed.
3-1.
Sorry, I can count. I promise. Sorry. All right.
Sorry,
Historical.
I was in an
Society-
elevator at the hospital, so I was a little clunky. I apologize.
It's all right, Mark. I can count to 5 still, though. It's good. All right, we're moving on to the Historical Society funding agreement, and we have 2 folks here that would like to talk on this topic. And the first one I have is Mr. Richard Ray.
Madam Chair and members of the commission, my name is Richard Ray, and I'm a volunteer with the society, and I'm on the board. And when I saw this agenda item, I thought this is the first step into denying our funds that we so desperately need. And these funds go to service the 5 museums in the county: Grand Forks, Niagara, Larimore, Northwood, and Manville. It's $250,000. And the amount of money that we're talking about is not going to balance anybody's budget, but it will devastate the 5 museums. Right now, we are open during the summer months, during the visit, when people are visiting, 7 days a week. And we provide tours, and we provide archival information for people who come. If we lose this funding, I can see at some point we're gonna end up like a lot of the museums where you're open on a Sunday afternoon for 3 hours. We can do better than that in Grand Forks County. And it does take some money. Almost everybody there, we only have one paid full-time person, and that's our director, Leah Pozeski. And we have a college kid who helps out a little bit. Other than that, it's all volunteer. But we need the money to make this work. The agreement says 60-day notice before there can be a change in the contract. And so I am here to request that you not change the contract. That's why and I'm not going to go through the whole speech that I went through, a few months ago with you folks. So you get it. And I'm open to any questions that you might have.
I'm Chair. Richard, I just have one question. I think last year I brought up too that to get a hold of the city of Grand Forks, because I don't think they have a dog in the fight at all. They don't pay anything for the museum in Grand Forks. Has that been done or attempted? Or?
Yes, I've met, but I haven't met with the right people yet. I mean, and they don't have a statute that authorizes $250,000. So you know what I mean? It's a different game, a little bit different. And so I have to do more there, Bob, but the statute, when you have it up there, recognizes the importance of historical societies in the state of North Dakota. I mean, that's why it's there. And so why would Grand Forks County not want to be part of that and to support the 5 museums? It just Grand Forks is big enough to do that.
Yep.
We don't want to be a museum that's only open 3 hours.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Afternoon.
Members of the commission, thank you for allowing me to speak today.
Can you press the button on there so that the mic turns green? Perfect.
There we go.
Got it.
I am the one full-time person that works at the Historical Society, and I conduct research, I write articles, I do the janitor work, I take care of the gardening, and like Richard pointed out, we're mostly staffed by volunteers at the Historical Society. But I am the one who deals with the public the most. And I get the good feedback every day. I've got stacks and stacks of thank you letters for school children that come through and love their visit to the museum and all the things that they learn about it. There's so many different subjects that we cover. And so there's something that everybody zeroes in on. Some kids love the schoolhouse the best. Some kids like the military area the best. It's always one little boy in his thank you note wrote that he was amazed that Grand Forks was founded by Alexander the Great. Well, he was pretty great, Alexander Riggs, but he wasn't the same guy. Our reviews on Google are excellent, and Yelp, and always positive feedback. We provide a place for the city band concerts, and between 200, 300 people attend those every other Thursday in the summertime. And thank you for the funding that we've had. This agreement's been in place since the year I graduated high school in 1983. And it's a matter of, you know, we've kept up our end of this agreement. It's good citizenship. It's, you know, stewardship. We do our best to take care of the facilities that we have at all of our county museums. Northwood and Larimore are paying attention also. Their museums are fairly good size. Manville and Niagara are smaller, but they do get good attendance. And it's a matter of community pride to take care of our museums. So I thank you for the support we've had so far. Thank you for letting me say my piece. And I hope that you will continue to fund our history museums. The plaque outside the door says that this room is dedicated to the pioneers of Grand Forks County. And I can tell you all about those people. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion on this topic, Mr. Bierke? Okay. Mark, did you want to?
Well, I guess I would ask the speaker at the podium, is there any willingness for the Grand Forks Historical Society to pressure the State Historical Society to relinquish their authority over properties, whether they be publicly or privately funded? I know that it technically is not the same organization, but however, in my opinion, it's kind of birds of a feather, and I can't support voting for the Historical Society's funding if they're going to maintain control over buildings such as the county courthouse and many residential homeowners that in my opinion got tricked into putting their homes on the registry. I've gotten an awful lot of feedback about this because people don't feel like they were given the entire story, and so therefore is there any appetite for that? And I'll yield.
Our organization has nothing to do with the National Register or the regulations having to do with the National Register. The State Historical Society director, his name is Bill Peterson, is also the Historic Preservation Officer, and he deals with the Grand Forks Preservation Commission, which has an office in City Hall, but we don't have any formal connection to them.
Right, but that really wasn't my question, though. My question was, would there be any appetite from your outfit to potentially, I guess, for lack of a better term, lobby in order to get them to relinquish that authority? And because you're both historical societies, I would think that would carry a lot of weight coming from your organization.
It would depend on a case-by-case basis. Now, the courthouse represents law and order of Grand Forks County, and as a citizen, I'm in favor of maintaining the courthouse. Judge Med, years ago, invited me to be on his committee for celebrating the centennial of the courthouse. And it was really a neat day, and a lot of people came and toured the courthouse and had interest in it because of security, you can't just wander into the courthouse and look around anymore. And so that was an opportunity for citizens, and hundreds of people came. So
you don't think those people would have showed up if the roof looked different?
I think, look over Grand Forks over time, and buildings like the courthouse, we have pictures of it under construction starting in 1913. We have pictures of it in the 1940s. As our history of our community marches on, that courthouse is an important symbol. And now if it was some other building like like the pest house. I don't know if you know what the pest house is, that building that's by the underpass. There's the Preservation Commission has looked into putting that building on the National Register. And personally, I don't know about the value of that. So it would, like I say, it's a case by case thing. But I really have no power over the State Historical Society.
I mean, it sounds like it was a really cool event and everything. I just don't know if it was, how to word this, worth, essentially a $5 million increase in what the cost would have been to just put a regular roof on it. And I'm no hater on old buildings. I've got buildings that were built in the 1800s, 3 of them. And so this is not a reflection on, some hatred of old buildings and wanting new construction. That's not the case. However, it's important to me that at that level, at the state level, that we end the mandates from the historical registry or society or whatever it is that they call themselves. And I think you guys are our best avenue to potentially do that and save people a ton of money. I can remember years ago, I was approached by the Historical Society about a building that I own. And if I had accepted that and entered it on the registry, I would have had, when I just replaced windows that already cost close to $200,000, I did a little deep dive on it and it would have cost close to $1 million instead. And so I don't know. I just have a fundamental issue with it. I love the museums. I love that the kids love them. That is not my issue. My issue is the unfunded mandates. And I think you guys are the best mechanism to help remove those mandates. And I'm sorry if there's noise in the background. I'm at Altru. So,
well, I'm sorry you're at Altru, but we're not in that chain of command. It's the Grand Forks Historic Preservation Commission to the State Historical Society of North Dakota, and then the National Park Service. And so I'm sorry that those costs ran the way they did, but again, that had nothing to do with me. The Campbell House on our property of the Historical Society is on the National Register. And when we had the flood, the Corps of Engineers was going to squeeze us into a little postage stamp of a property that would have been not nearly as good as it is right now. And with the help of the State Historical Society and the fact that the Campbell House is on the National Register, the Corps of Engineers was made to mitigate with us so that the property would be as good after the flood protection project as before. And so there are good things about the National Register. And personally, I was involved in that whole process. And so I'm grateful for what we were able to accomplish with the flood wall on Belmont Road. Okay. Anything else?
That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, I asked to put this on, and this is an example I've heard my whole life as an elected official. It's only a cup of coffee a month. And that's why you end up with $38 trillion in the hole at the federal level. If we don't do something, this is, and you all know me up here long enough now, after a year, I don't like any of these mandates where I'm told how much money I have to spend. That takes the authority away from the commission. And if we're not willing to touch this, and we're not willing to touch that, and we're not going to do that, then at the end of the year, we're going to raise taxes and spend down cash reserves to pay light bills, as we keep doing over and over again. And anyone who knows anything about business, at some point, it's not going to work. You can't function constantly raising taxes and constantly spending down cash reserves. The reason I added it, because there's a clause in here that if we don't talk about it, by the time we budget time we talk about it, then Mr. Wamstead tells us we can't do it because we're breaking the law. So this is where we're at. If we're not willing to cut anything, then what we're saying is, well, I won't vote for the budget. Then we're saying we're going to pass a budget that will raise taxes and will not stop. Everything is too important. I don't live in that world. I live in a world of priorities. And so I will make a motion to notify to terminate the contract.
I second.
All right, first and a second, is there any other discussion? Anybody? Sorry. Yeah, all right, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Bierke,
Yes.
Mr. Rost,
No.
Mr. Rusted,
Yes.
and I am a no. So we are tied 2-2. And it's my understanding the motion fails if we don't have a fifth.
That's correct. In the event of a tie, the motion fails and it can't be considered until the next regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay. Sounds good. Oops, sorry. Total Transcare. So the Twin State Environmental, the application for property tax incentive.
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you. Just very quickly, we have Keith Lundbecker Kruger and Kevin Hatcher from the EDC. They've been working on this project with me. And then John Walters and Scott Tinsman from Twin State are up here from Iowa to see us again. If you recall this application for a 5-year step down declining percentage tax, new and expanding business tax incentive application was brought to the commission on February 3rd. Tonight, the commission will consider final action, and it's also considered the public hearing for the tax incentive application. Madam Chair, if you want to, I don't know if you want to take a moment, if there's anyone here that wants to speak about it for the public hearing or do that after.
We can do it before. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on for the Twin State Environmental Tax Incentive? All right, seeing none, then we'll close the public hearing.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Just to refresh the Commission's memory, Total Transcare Inc. doing business as Northern Plains Railroad Service on behalf of Twin State Environmental LLC has applied for a 5-year declining new or expanding business property tax incentive in Grand Forks County. They are a division of Twin State Inc., headquartered in Durant, Iowa, and they specialize in automated robotic Raptor tank cleaning systems for rail cars. The company is planning to lease 5 acres from Total Transcare Inc. to construct and operate a rail car cleaning facility at 1335 23rd Avenue Northeast, which is north of Grand Forks. The proposed site is located north of Northern Plains Rail Grand Forks Pad and south of the Northdale Oil Plant. Twin State Environmental LLC is certified as North Dakota primary sector business, and they meet all the requirements under Century Code and county policy to proceed to the public hearing, which you've done. And the required notices were published in the Grand Forks Herald on February 11th and February 14th. The requested incentive follows Grand Forks County policy of a 5-year step down, scheduled at 100%, 80%, 60%, 40%, and 20%. Before I ask the commission for final action, Mr. Hatcher from the EDC was going to provide the board an update on the project.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission, along with Mr. Ford there. Overall, Tom displayed it very well. Background of the company and the project detail that is being proposed in front of you for the 5-year property tax exemption. Reflecting back to the presentation last February, what I shared with you that the EDC board was going to go up for review of the 5-year declining property tax exemption, along with the requested PACE program through Bank of North Dakota and Jobs Development Authority over at the city of Grand Forks. They unanimously, the EDC Board of Directors unanimously support the 5-year declining property tax exemption for the county's consideration, along with the PACE program as well. Along with that PACE program timeline, we did just receive approval for the PACE program through the city of Grand Forks yesterday. So I just wanted to share that timeline. Additionally, Tom displayed it very well that negotiating with the city and with Tom and his team, this is a primary sector company, and the parameters of the 5-year declining property tax, we were intentional on working with the company and the county, just making sure that this primary sector parameters fit within the policy of the Grand Forks County. So appreciate the county's consideration and look forward to having the company here growing in the Grand Forks area here. I stand for any questions.
Is there any questions before we move on?
I have a question for Mr. Ford for clarification purposes, if you don't mind, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Mark.
So we have a set policy that's been in place, correct? And this falls right in line with that, correct?
Commissioner Rusted, you are correct. The policy's been in place since 2015. And as the board knows, we're working on updating a new policy, which we're aiming for the next commission meeting.
So not approving is essentially thumbing our nose technically at our own policy. Is that correct also?
It does fall in line with the county's policies, sir. That's correct.
Okay. Just wanted some clarification. I appreciate it, Mr. Ford.
Yes, sir. And Madam Chair, Commissioners, in visiting with Mr. Walters and Mr. Tinsman and the EDC team, it's the company is looking to invest $5 million of their own capital to bring utilities and more infrastructure to that site, which benefits the entire Northern Plains Rail site, which is one of the reasons staff is recommending that the board approve the Total Transcare doing business as Northern Plains Rail Service on behalf of Twin States, approve their application for a 5-year declining new or expanding business tax incentive as presented. Happy to answer any questions.
I'll move approval.
I would second.
The first and a second, is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-1 with Mr. Bierke dissenting.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, Mr. West. You look like springtime with your bright blue shirt on.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's not very sunny outside, so I'm looking for something.
It's a boy.
It's a boy.
Yeah. That it is. Yeah. Madam Chair, members of the board, just real quick on that, the meeting we had before on capital improvements, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Gerseski for coming out to the highway department, helping us with that, our roof and our windows. I got a chuckle. He was using some terminology with the contractor on our windows that I didn't understand, and I had to stop him and say, well, what do you mean by that? So it was nice to have a little more detail in that, and just want to say thank you. First item I have for consideration is that right away at the County 11 and intersection of State 18. I don't know if the board remembers, it was a while ago, 8-9 months ago, back in July of 21. Adjacent landowner came in with some right-of-way concerns. And the board directed the highway department and state's attorney to transfer the land. And we have done that. There you can see the certificate of survey is there before you. So we've maintained our 75 feet of property, which would be our standard nowadays. And the rest of it would be deeded back to that landowner. The certificate of survey has been filed. And before you is a quitclaim deed that Ms. Wamstead has put together. I have reviewed. It looks okay. The landowner has reviewed and is okay with it. And I would request approval and permission for chair and auditor's signature on that.
Madam Chair, I'd move for approval.
Second.
Right. Move first and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. And a thank you to Ms. Wamstead for doing this on a Sunday, I believe. You sent me an email and was burning some midnight oil to get this done. So thank you. My next request for the board is back on spring ton limits. This is something our department's been working on for quite a while. There's a little bit of a timeline there written up for the board. Fall of 24, we requested that our ton limits match the DOT's. February of 25, we changed all of our old class A's to 8 ton, number 2s to 7 ton. And then in March of 25, the board authorized us to collect traffic volumes and strength data of all of our paved roadways. That has been done. It has been analyzed, and the spreadsheet really lays it out before you. And surprisingly, our roads are quite a bit stronger than we had thought. And we knew they were stronger than what was out there. Now, a number of our roads are listed in the like 9 and 10 ton, which, just for the board's awareness, the column where it says AET load rating, that's the non-destructive FWD testing they do in a road. So they test how strong the road could be. And a 10-ton road would be 10 or more tons. If it says, say, 7 ton, it's 7 to 8 ton. So we listed the lower ton limit option in that spreadsheet. The big question for the board and the recommendation of the highway department is on roads that are tested out at 9 and 10 ton, technically would not need to be posted for what's there. The risk is we need to preserve those roads for many years in the future. And what I'm particularly worried about is a road that was, for everybody in this room, they've only known the Class A and number 2 load limits. That's all we've had for 50 plus years. If we took a 2-ton road, which is essentially a combination 6-7 ton road, and we go to no posting on it, our worry is that industry would have reduced their ton limit or reduced their hauling in the spring to meet the load limits. And if we don't put any limits on, then there's no concern about it, right? So in the springtime, they might hold back their hauling before, where now they wouldn't. And a road that we hope to last 20, 25 years, all of a sudden starts having a problem. And that's a big unknown. We don't know if it would or wouldn't, but it's an expensive unknown if that road starts having problems, and then we got to start overlaying and fixing things. Our recommendation is to post all those roads at an 8-ton. Now, that is the highest ton limit option available through the DOT system. It's a moderate ton limit, but it still provides a little bit of restriction and slows down the hauling. And hopefully, if there's a big project, that they would hold off on doing that hauling until after the ton limits are on there, or until after the ton limits would be on. Otherwise, the other consideration is we had 2 segments that rated out at a 4-ton. That's off the charts low. The lowest ton limit we have available is a 4-ton, or excuse me, a 5-ton. And that was County Road 5 north of Manville, north of 81, that little segment. We just did an overlay on it. But and then County Road 26, which is in the very southeast corner. It's a low volume paved road. Our recommendation would be to stick to a 6-ton ton limit on those. It's a little bit more conservative than the 7-ton, but that's what it was posted at. But it had a number 2 limit for decades and decades, and they're okay. It's still holding on. 26 is in poor shape now just because it needs an overlay and it's getting old, but it's still okay. If there aren't any more questions, I would recommend approving these postings as we have listed.
Madam Chair, I would make that motion.
All right, we have a first and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. That is all I have for today. Any further questions?
Did you say that you wanted some input about if you should post something or not? Maybe I was confused is what you were saying. You were
Post a
sure.
time limit?
Yeah. I'll talk to you after. Maybe
Okay.
I was confused.
Not sure.
It's okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Ford, back to you again.
Yes, Madam Chair. Commissioners, the only other item I have is the vacant commission seat update. So we did receive 16 applications. I misspoke when I said 17. I'd counted someone twice. But you received 16 applications for the vacant commission seat. And I printed them all off and put them in folders and laid them on your commission desk. So you should have those. I think it's up to the commission how you move forward, but it's my recommendation, or I propose scheduling one or maybe two special commission meetings next week, Wednesday or Thursday, so that the commission has time to review them ahead of time, meet to discuss, and you may want to invite the applicants to come to the meeting. You may wish to visit with them, have them say a few words. But that would be my recommendation, is looking to schedule a special meeting next Wednesday and or Thursday to go through the applicants and discuss and interview. And that's all I have.
Okay, sounds good. All right, what say the board?
Madam Chair, I guess I would like to just say that we have a lot of good applicants here, and they're all circulating petitions, and they're all seeking to run, and they can run for either seat. They can run for mine, or they can run for Cynthia Peaches. But back in 1986, when the governor removed Gordie Taylor as sheriff of Grand Forks County, I was appointed as the sheriff because I was not one of the political candidates. There were 3 other people that were running for sheriff at that time, and the county commission at that time did not want to show favoritism to any one of the candidates. So they picked me because I was not running for the job. I just feel that this is a decision that should be made by the people of Grand Forks County. Certainly, they can fill either one of those seats. And I think it's the only fair way to do this thing. I think some people probably have people they would like to see on the board, but I think it should be up to the people to vote on these people. They circulate petitions. If somebody's better than somebody else, well, then go out and campaign. These are my strengths. This is what I can do, and this is how I can do it. I don't think it should be up to us to pick these 2 seats, but that's my opinion. So,
Mr. Bierke?
Well, I'm perfectly fine setting up a meeting where we would give them all all 16 of them, because I'm all about the transparency. They have them come in and take questions, make their comments, and we can interview them. Say 10 minutes. I'm fine with that. I don't care how long it takes. So I'd like to see that happen next week. Go through the candidates, and then I'd like to see us maybe have a piece of paper with all their names on it for all the commissioners, and say yes or no. And then all the ones that score 3-1 or 4-0 would move on to the next round, because 0-4 you lost, 1-3 you lost, and 2-2 is a tie, you lost. So those would be eliminated. And then we get down to the finalists, and then we could have a vote on that, because they obviously, somebody's going to win, because if it was 3-1 or 4-0, they have enough votes to win. And then we could have a meeting to, I guess if you wanted to take a break and tally the votes up and then that day vote, or if you want to have another one after that, I would prefer that. That's why I don't care if they're running or not. Doesn't matter to me. That's up to them. I'm not looking just to put a body in there. I'm looking to put the best body. I'm sure we all have different opinions on what the best opinion of government is. I think that's pretty clear up here. So that's what I'd like to see. An interview process, eliminate the 2-2s, the 1-3s, and the 0-4s, and then whatever's left, we could talk among ourselves, so make a motion, and whoever wins, wins.
Madam Chair, I have one more point that I didn't say. Commissioner Dave Engen, who was on the board, is one of the people in the folder here that is interested in filling the position, but he is not running for that position. He would like to be the interim that would see that position until the elections are all completed and that person would take the office on December 1st. Dave's got the experience. He's been here before. We've got some big issues coming up with budgeting and things going on in this county. And I think Dave would be just a natural. And we're not showing favoritism to the other candidates. He would just be filling the vacancy until December 1st. And he does not intend on running for it. So,
Ms. Wamstead, can you give us like a brief synopsis about the commission picking someone? Like, it is something that has happened before. There is some precedent, and we're not just going to be picking somebody that is our buddy. Like, we can have some sort of methodical system around it, but it really is the board choosing someone for just a very short period of time. Does that question make sense?
Madam Chair, members of the board, the statute gives a lot of discretion to the remaining members of the board as to how a person is selected. Really, it's up to the four of you, how you do it, and what you give greater or less weight to is within your discretion. The statute doesn't provide a specific process. If you wanted to interview the candidates, you certainly could, but you're not mandated by law to do that. The process that you want to follow is really within your discretion.
Mr. Rusted, are you still with us? Is he still on? Sorry. Oh, he must be busy.
Yeah, yes, no, I apologize. I'm en route going to pick up food for my bride once she comes out of surgery. So
It's all right. I was just seeing if you had any comments or any feedback that you wanted to provide while we're in this discussion for the vacant seat.
you know, I'll be honest, and I've expressed this to a lot of people. I think Haley Wamstead is absolutely on the right track about having this be a legislative priority for the Grand Forks County / all counties in North Dakota. I've in my brain, I couldn't have drawn up a clunkier situation than this. And furthermore, and I'm guessing that all my counterparts will agree that, like, we're focusing on this empty chair when really, you know, we lost a friend and a colleague. And I think you know, it's just taking away from where I think like our minds and hearts should be. And I hate the process. And to me, however we do it is not going to seem right to people, no matter what we land on. You know, I kind of threw it up in the air about possibly about what Terry mentioned earlier about, you know, kind of whittling it down by just kind of silently, not, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, without, you know, naming names and stuff, you know, putting a yay or a nay so you can determine, like, you know, if there's somebody that would get a 4-0 and nobody else would, then it makes it a very easy decision. But at the same time, I don't know if that's right either. Like, I feel like I'm bloviating right now, but I don't have a solution. Like, I can see a lot of logic in what Bob's saying, but I can also see a lot of logic in doing it the other way. And, you know, so, I mean, I don't know, flip a coin. I have no idea what we should be doing here. And I almost, if they're going to write a law so wonky at the state level, I almost think that putting words in there like we have all sorts of discretion and not nailing down a time frame is not helpful. If you're going to have a law about it at all and not just let each county handle it the way their policy states, then it should be a law, not like a recommendation or so Miss Wamstead, I mean, do you understand my frustrations and why this is just a goat rope, so to speak?
Commissioner Rusted, members of the board. No, I completely understand what you're illustrating. With that said, I think there's always some appreciation for local control. So we might be in a more difficult situation if the legislature laid out a very specific timeline that we'd have to follow or a very specific process versus it being within the board's discretion. What I had expressed earlier about perhaps this should be a legislative priority is the situation where the timeline of this statute provides that if the vacancy occurs at least 95 days prior to the next general election, then it's on the ballot, which is a difficult timeline when the deadline for the passage of petitions could have already passed in some scenarios. Thankfully, not in the scenario we're in, so that interested parties do have sufficient time to submit that paperwork to land on the ballot. But there very well could be circumstances where that deadline has passed. The position is placed on the ballot with no candidates because the deadline for the petitions to be submitted has passed. So I think that's worth a point of discussion with the Association of Counties and perhaps with the legislature.
Go ahead.
Here, we got to decide something.
Right.
So I'm not afraid of losing the vote. I'm ready. Let's make a decision, but it's very simple. We're going to either interview and go through the process or whatever, but let's go. Just another thing. No one take 6 months to do a 2-week thing. So I know what I want to do. It's up to you three.
Yep, that's why we're having the discussion. And I really do appreciate your perspective, Mr. Rost. I just pondering it a little bit about not giving a certain person more light in the election. So if it wants to be fair, be fair. And I do believe Dave, did he come third in the election previously, correct? So
Pardon?
Mr.
Yeah,
Grant, right?
Yeah.
I
he was right
remember
behind Mark.
correctly.
Yep.
But I'm not opposed to having a day to go through these and talk about them. I do want to be purposeful and pick someone that is going to represent the county well for those 6 months, but also how much time are we going to put into it, find the best candidate, put them in the seat because we have business to proceed to. That might sound cold, but we do need to continue with our business. So
I just think it's totally up to the people of Grand Forks County,
Right.
the voters. It's not up to us. You know, they put us in office
Right.
and we've got some good people here. Let them run for the position, but we need somebody in the interim and we need somebody that's got the experience, the education. He knows how the county government works. So I guess my position is, and I'm going to put it in the form of a motion. I would like to make a motion to appoint Dave Ingen, interim county commissioner. He is not running for the office. And he would be done on December 1st when all the election process has been completed.
all right. Go first. I'll second that for discussion, more discussion.
Okay.
We are so interested. Nope. All right. Mark, do you have any comments you want to make before we vote?
No, from a 51 to 49, basically in my own mind, I think that giving all candidates, because we don't know how many of them are actually running. Half of them might be interim, who knows? I think giving all candidates a fair shake, and I do believe that's what we put out in the press as well. I don't know that we want to alter that, and it very well might wind up being Mr. Engen. But at the end of the day, I still want to see the process through. So I guess once it's a vote, I'm going to vote no.
All right, well, let's get the vote over with because it's going to be tied. Mr. Bierke,
Nope.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Mr. Rusted?
No.
And I'm a yes. So we will make a special meeting next week to interview the candidates. Is there a date that works best for anybody? Wednesday next week?
Are you sure we just handled that legally?
No.
Well,
That's
if
2-2 vote.
but if it's a 2-2 vote, then the motion doesn't pass. So then we have to move on to the next thing. The next thing is to have a meeting. That was the next option. So
I guess I
if
understood.
we
the
vote
rules
again, it's going to be the same
different.
thing. So next Wednesday, the 11th.
I'm open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever you want.
Mr. Rost, is that next Wednesday?
I have to look at my calendar.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Let's do a tentative Wednesday. I have a few small humans that might need some grandma day daycare. So, so we'll put it out for Wednesday for right now, but time to be determined. Is that fair to everybody?
Yeah, and it's gonna be at least 3 hours.
Very
So,
good. Bring us
but-
back.
I'm fine with that. So just want everybody to know that. So it's not gonna be a rush because if we can do them all, if they don't show up, that's on them.
Right.
We're gonna schedule a meeting.
Line, if this is the time that we're doing it. And
Just reviewing them ourselves, or are we having the candidates come in too?
I think the candidates should come in and we should talk to them.
I think we can give them a
10 minutes.
time frame that we will be visiting with candidates between 10 and 1. And then we'll go through and whoever's here and then we're done. And then if you don't come by that time, then that's just the way that it is. We just got to get it done. And I think that would be the most fair.
I think even go further. I think, Mr. Ford, make a schedule up alphabetically, however he wants, pick names out of a hat, say, this is your time.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Commissioners, I can do that as soon as the commission has finalized a time. I'll reach out to all the candidates.
And I also think then we could, after that, like I said, if we have a piece of paper with all the names on it, we could go through, and if they don't have at least 3 or 4 votes, that'd be eliminated. And then we would just go down to discussing what I would call the finalists.
Sure. Sounds fair. All right. So we'll get in touch with a time and then we will move on. Ms. Wamstead, do you have anything for the board? Okay, sounds great. All right, moving into committee reports.
MPO meeting, they're doing a socio-economic study and part of its population, 2025 to 2055. The highlights is that the city of Grand Forks is projected to go from 59,405 to 72,818 for an increase of 13,413 people. And the county, they have it 13,935 going down to 12,484 for a loss of 1,454. So anyone around in 2055 can check on those numbers. I ain't gonna be here. From MPO.
Nothing.
All right. Mr. Rusted, do you have anything else to provide the board?
MPO is Thursday, assuming everything goes good and I can go. I know that a big priority of theirs as it relates to the county is most certainly the one we voted on today. So I don't know that there will be a whole lot of updates because it got through the board's vote this evening. So other than that, I don't know, that'd be about it. I think I got airport next week.
All right, very good. I don't have any other information to provide. Unfinished business. I don't think we have any unfinished business, do we?
Madam Chair, I think the commission should approve the capital improvement
Great,
budget
thank you. That
from the
top
public
of my
safety.
mind when
Yes, ma'am.
I knew there was one thing. Thank you for
Yes, ma'am.
catching me on that. We need to approve the budget that we just approved for ourselves.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
I do want to say one more thing in regards to that, because this meeting is going to get watched and the previous one we had, probably not so much. I think it'd be good to highlight the hard work that Bill put into putting that together. And I thought it was a very thoughtful and very nice presentation. And so I just want to give a shout out to Bill Grashevsky on that.
Good job, Bill. All right. Correspondence, we got the Grand Forks County Water Resource District notice of statewide or interdistrict public hearing. When is that? Do you have any other information on that, Colleen? No, I just didn't see the date, sorry. Well, it's in the packet. Okay. March 18th. Perfect. All right, we are at the end. So
Mark, it's your turn.
Move adjourn.
all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you.